This is Paul Wilson.
And Chris Emke.
And you're listening to Diesel Performance Podcast. Chris, it is UCC sprint time. This is when everybody's in a scramble getting ready for the big show.
Whether you're competing, interviewing, promoting, DPI Expo booth contender, it doesn't matter. Everyone is pretty much shit or get off the pot at this point.
That's right, man. Yeah, and I love it because this is a really fun time of year where as we start to talk to all the competitors, you can hear the level of panic go up and up and up as closer we get to the show when we're doing these interviews.
What's mind-boggling to me, Paul, is as we get closer to the show, no one still has their fucking truck together.
No, of course not. Of course
not.
It's a rite of passage with UCC to get it ready. If you're 3 days before Friday, so if you're like Tuesday, it's done. Great job.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a huge win. But yeah, no. Today we have. I'm gonna just take a shot in the dark here and say probably the calmest UCC competitor, Eric Merchant, who we've had on the show before with some absolute classic episodes.
You say calm, I say a riot.
Yeah.
It depends on how you position or how you get Eric. Okay.
Yeah.
Eric has been a longtime friend of the company and the brand. He is a great person, all around businessman, Merchant Automotive, right out of Michigan. So it's always exciting to get Eric on and kind of see what he's got going on. He's one of those nonchalant, go with the flow, I don't give a fuck. So I think
that's it right there. That's it.
That's the best way to put it.
Yeah. Well, hey, let's just dive right into it. Let's talk to Eric. Eric Merchant, how the hell are you?
Doing great.
I'd love to hear
Hold
it.
on, I got a cough.
Heard it here first, guys.
Sorry. Oh, just my nerves.
In true Eric Merchant fashion, welcoming everyone to the show and testing mic levels. I love that. Eric, you have been around UCC. I think you've been at least attending the event since it started, right?
I have been there since the OG.
Ooh.
Does that make me old?
No.
I think your age does, but
I have watched it rain at every UCC since Utah.
Well, we're a year after Utah, but we're right in that same ballpark.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I really enjoy when it's super hot and muggy the entire time, and then there's a massive lightning and thunderstorm right at the very end. That was my favorite year.
Yeah. Or in 19 when there was a inflatable duck floating in the parking lot.
Booth.
Yeah, in front of our booth.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Now
You mean?
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say something else happened in 19 other than Tony blowing the bejesus out of his truck. I guess I don't recall anything else in that event.
Yeah, no, that
I literally don't remember anybody else who competed. So I do. Yeah, Tony was the only guy from Michigan I remember there.
I mean, Eric's truck broke, and they went all night getting the truck back together, if I recall that year.
Yeah, there was that blue Dodge, the dyno guy. I can't think of his name. I think he ended up doing pretty well finishing wise. Had a bunch of horsepower. I don't remember.
But Tony Burkhardt's truck lit on fire.
Yeah, this is for anybody who hasn't listened to past episodes. For Eric Merchant to come on and sarcastically throw some jabs at Dirty Hooker Diesel and Derek Rose in the first 5 minutes of being on the show, very on brand. I just thank you. Well, go ahead.
Aren't jabs. These are affectionate things. Tony and I are tent mates. So as those that are attending the event will walk through the pits and you'll see this giant white tent. You're like, okay, there's a wedding going on, or it's a bunch of Michigan people inside. And last year we had to move out of the tent so that the entire media frenzy could go in there and watch this spectacle that Tony and his guys were doing, putting that truck back together. So we just kind of got out of the way, which the truth of the matter is we started drinking beer and we called it supervising during that period of time. But you know how it is when you get a bunch of people that are like heckling when they're drinking? That was kind of us, but it felt like supervisor type roles.
It was supervisor drunk heckling. But yeah, okay.
No, it wasn't drunk. We were supervising.
Right.
Well, go juice.
I remember it all.
So, Eric, question for you, man. Why are you competing again this year? What's the motive?
Well, because we're like everybody else. We sat around all last year and didn't. And last year, let's see, no, if I say last year, that means 2019. Okay,
Okay.
That's just a precursor for all the last years that are coming up in this conversation. So, and every year I'm like, okay, we'll do it one more time. And then I'm like, no, that's enough. And then at the end of the weekend, I'm like, maybe one more time. And this year it's like one of those things, like if I was starting from scratch, I probably would be less inclined to do it. But since I really honestly have everything in place from the couple years that we've done it, it's like I can't not do it. We took the truck, let's see, March of 20, when we were prepping for UCC last year, and then everything kind of, went crazy in the world, and then it just sat. And about a month ago, a couple of us got together at the shop and said, well, we should at least finish the prep for UCC. And I'm like, yeah, we got to keep it on a budget, because I don't want to spend a bunch of money on this project. And we went from the truck sitting in the corner dusty to running for $9. And I'm a little bummed that we had to spend $9, but I was out of high temp silicone, so we ran out of the parts store. But from there, I mean, it's literally running, and I'm bringing back the exact same thing that it had been the last 2 years. It's just I'm going to call it reliable, and I hope it's reliable this year. Last year we had some trouble on Sunday. Sorry, 2 years ago, just some dumb stuff, and should have been not the case. But we're not going to do that again this year. It'll be something else stupid that we fight. But it is, and it's one of those things. We just want to finish all 3 events respectable. I've got, I don't know, a month to teach myself how to drag race, and just go have fun with it. To me, the event is more fun. I don't want to turn it into work. I don't want to be thrashing on the thing all weekend. Kudos to the guys that do it and are really pushing for everything and are letting it all hang out. That takes the fun out of it for me. And if it's not fun, who wants to do it? And that's kind of what we're shooting for this year. We're actually more prepared this year. Meaning that we're actually going to the drag strip this weekend.
Oh, wow.
And the last 2 times that we competed at UCC, our opening passes on the truck for the season were at UCC.
Oh, well.
So I feel like we're just like, what are we going to do for the next month?
Well,
Eric, and I know that.
A couple things here, Eric. You're one of the more seasoned guys in the industry as a whole, right? Merchant Automotive has been around for a long time. You've been in the industry doing what you do for a long time. We have some newer listeners and some newer followers that are going to be at UCC or are following UCC. Can you give us a little bit of a rundown on the truck itself?
So the truck itself is a 2003 GMC. It's a truck that I bought brand new. Over the years, it's progressed into many things and changed into many things. And I don't know, whatever year we did UCC the first time was like, oh, we can adapt it. It's historically it's been more of a sled pull truck. So we made, so we could swap out axles a little easier, and the weight box and things like that are already removable. So from what it sounds like, I'm one of the few guys that are going there with a trailer truck and trying to go fast. It's a crew cab. It's still got full sheet metal. It's still got all the glass in it. I've yet to be able to pull out all the spray and bed liner because that stuff does not come off easy. And it's one of those trucks. It's like, oh, I don't want to cut it up and make it lighter because it's rust free and it's too good a shape. But the realistic side of it is like, what am I really going to do? Turn this thing back into a street truck when there's holes in the floor for a roll cage? And no, I'm not, but I just don't want to cut it up. I don't know why. I'm too cheap to put fiberglass sides on it. And too lazy to put Lexan windows in it. So
I think it's going to be really interesting. That's a great point to bring because almost everybody else we talk to has this like really extensive drag racing experience. And then I think you're right. I think it's pretty much just you and Tony who has all sled pull experience and very little seat time at the strip. But you have raced before. I mean, you've been down the track at least a handful of times.
way back in the old days when the what was it, the Hot Edge and the Quadzilla stack was the
That
whip
was the
ship
shit.
for an LB7.
Oh yeah.
I remember rocking that out with some 13-1s and a full-size crew cab.
and bragging about it, right? Like that was a 13-1 full
That was
size.
Impressive.
Flex.
Those were the days when you got a sticker for 500 horse on David Dunbar's dyno, and you represented that sticker like people don't understand what 500 horse was back in the day.
That's right.
Or what it took to get there.
Yeah.
Now everybody wants to street drive 1,000, and I'm like, damn kids.
Yeah, the street driving the 1,000, I think it's one of those. How much power do you really need, right? And I think it goes back to the newer trucks. They're advertised with the power that they're advertised with, but the power to weight ratios are still somewhat similar. If we can be honest, you take an old LB7 with 500 horsepower, that thing's going to run circles around a newer truck at 500 horsepower. Just again, that power to weight ratio.
Well, I think I understand the idea of 1,000 street driven now that the technology has caught up and it's more feasible to have something that's actually like okay to drive at low speeds and around town that could make 1,000 horsepower up top. There's probably not a lot of the setups that actually are 1,000 horsepower driven on the street are streetable. I agree with you there. But Eric, I wanted to hit you on that. So going up at the drag strip a couple years ago, I think back in like 18, it was literally just fastest time. There was no heads up racing. It was just straight up go down the track. You have all day Friday, but get your best time. Now I think there's qualifying and then there's actual bracket that you're going to have to go through. Any strategy for that? Have you kind of thought that through, what that looks like? You're not the lightest guy out there. Are you going to try to go hard at the qualifying and then hope to kind of just last through the crowd?
See, I thought they changed that back.
Oh, are they?
And maybe I'm not caught up on the emails. I thought there was talk of doing some side-by-side stuff again, like 19.
Right.
But then I thought I heard that they went back to just, hand in your fast time slip. So
Oh wow.
maybe I'm out of the loop, and I guess frankly it really doesn't matter to me. I'm only capable of what I'm capable of, and in 19 I remember lining up. I don't know if there was some rain or an oil down or something, and I remember sitting in line, and I happened to be lined up with Wade Minter, and I went up to him and told him, I says, don't wait for me. I'm gonna get in there and turn the lights on. But I'm gonna tell you right now, until some guy pops out of there with a flag, I'm just not gonna be ready. And it was. I mean, I got to watch him go down the track like everybody else in the stands. I was just in the other lane because he was so far ahead of me. I was like the flower girl at a wedding, just kind of following him down. And the only reason I went is because I had to get out of the way because there's people behind me. I couldn't back up.
All right, guys, I'll go now.
Yeah, I'm like, well, maybe he needs a beer or something. I mean, help the guy out.
Congratulate him on his successful pass.
It was. Congratulate him on his win, and I kind of did that before we got to the line. And I'm like, hey, congrats.
Well, you got lucky today. I'm up against you. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Cheers.
This is like pulling a Byron.
I love it. Okay, so drag strip a little bit light. We've been hearing about a lot of guys. There's a ton of privateers. I'm sure you haven't dug through and read all of the personal stories behind all of the other competitors, but there are quite a few privateers this year, and privateers have a habit of going all or nothing, especially when it comes to the dyno. I think we're going to see lots of spray. I know after last year we're going to have some heightened safety precautions and things like that, but I don't think that's going to back down the chaos that we are guaranteed to see on the dyno. Yep. What are you thinking here? How much nitrous are you planning on spraying?
It depends on how much is left in the bottles from 19. We did manage to find all the bottles that we took down last time, and I mean, I don't know how you tell if a bottle's full. I mean, one was heavier than the other, and that's probably the one we're going to run with. We'll just kind of do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, as far as how much, I don't know. There's one bottle. The truck. didn't want to just go cutting a bunch of holes in the thing for bottle brackets. And I'm like, well, one's enough, so we'll just do that. And then, I mean, last time I failed to think, oh, how are they going to tie this down? Because there's nothing to hook to, and I still had the coilovers in the back of the truck from the drag racing side, so they couldn't suck it down hard enough. And on the dyno, the tires kind of skipped when we got into the nitrous a little bit, and some dummy that put a switch in a weird place, the finger slipped off the nitrous button, and so I learned a few things that way. So we're gonna put links in the back so that there's more pull down on the frame to try and hook to the rollers. And I don't know. I mean, I know what the engine did on the engine dyno. If it does that on the chassis dyno with the spray, that's fine. I'm good with that.
What'd you make?
It was like 18 with the compounds on the engine dyno.
Can you walk us through your build a little bit? What set of compounds do you have on there, and what fuel system?
So it is a filled LML block. Geez, old Pete, this has been a while. It's got a steel crank in it, diamond pistons, Wagler rods. It's got the Wagler cast iron heads. Altfire. Worley had done some work on it a couple years ago. He built the turbo setup for me, and it's a 102 or 105 millimeter atmosphere over a 76 SXE box charger. I mean, it's literally like $4,500 in turbos, both of them, brand new. I mean, it's just basic stuff. I didn't want to be overwhelmed with it. There is it's a water to air setup. Fuel system is S&S, couple stroker pumps, some injectors to go with it. I don't know what they are, 350% injectors, and Bosch
guys.
ECU and that kind of thing. And we're still running the Allison in it. That's just because, I mean, it's kind of been, the Allison with the standalone, I don't think is too super uncommon anymore. Maybe it is. I'm not really keeping up with stuff. I don't have one of them fancy racing transmissions like all the cool kids do. But
do you think the Allison is holding you back? Do you think that's your weak link, especially when it comes to like drag racing?
So on the drag racing side, the issue I had in 19 was A, the driver, and B was I didn't realize it until after the fact, because that's how bad the driver is. I didn't realize it until after the fact. We were never getting lockup. So we're going down the track, running everything, and it's like, wow, we're the thing's not even locking up. And I think we're past that now for this year. On the dyno, it didn't seem to matter. I got it in, I don't know, 4th or 5th gear and whatever. And on the sled pull, we're only using one gear anyways in lockup, just kind of letting it go. So for what I'm trying to do with the truck, I don't believe the Allison's a hindrance.
Okay.
I'm not looking to go out. I'm going to, again, use those examples of Tony or any of those guys that are really moving along and, lightweight trucks. And I don't know. I know we're not pushing the Allison as hard as some of the guys out there are. So
sure.
I got no interest in changing away from it.
Okay. I like it.
I told you this is going to be a boring interview.
No, I think it's interesting because I think a lot of the other guys we've talked to are like, and we've seen this throughout the years, where it's I'm putting cutting edge technology in it. I'm building something custom. I'm starting from scratch. You have this totally opposite approach to it of being like, well, I've been around diesel a long time and I know that these things work, and this is what I'm trying to do, and I know that they're going to work for my application. It's super logical.
Yeah.
The stuff that's beat us in the past, I say us, it's always been the dumb stuff. It's like we're chasing the dumb stuff that we shouldn't have to fight. And frankly, it's lack of preparation on my end. You dilly dog around all winter long or whatever, and next thing you know, it's spring, and the next thing you know, it's raining in Indianapolis, and we're supposed to be doing stuff.
I mean, and Eric, just to clear the path here, like you're the only interviewee that we have so far that has a truck together.
Yeah.
And you're the only interviewee that is saying that you don't want to make this a chore, you want to enjoy it. And then every one of your responses and the tone in your voice, like I believe every part of what you're saying. You're not just trying to psych out like, oh yeah, it's just for fun, but I better fucking win, right? That's not the demeanor here. So, it's more of like that humbling, take a step back, and the event is to have fun.
To me, that's the whole part of it. I think that if it's not fun, who wants to do it? And the guys that have really pushed hard on it, I would struggle to say they didn't enjoy it in the end. Especially, I'm not going to put words in other people's mouths, but I mean, everybody remembers a few years back when with the what's that called, wrenching that the fire pump guys did. Major setups in between events, and I mean, those guys are on a different level. That's not even part of the conversation. But I just don't want to work that hard, quite frankly.
Now, let me ask you this, Eric. Let me ask you this. If UCC was a thing, let's say 15 years ago, okay, would you have had a different mindset then versus now?
Are you calling me old and lazy?
I'm not.
100%.
I'm not calling you old. I do think, though, fuck you, Paul. What I am going to say is me being in the industry as long as I have, Eric Merchant Automotive, it's kind of a staple in the diesel industry. Okay, so when you have these new up and coming guys, these are guys with shops. These are guys that are trying to prove something. What does Eric Merchant have to fucking prove? In all honesty, that's more or less where the conversation or where that statement's coming from.
Most people don't know who I am anymore, probably because I whatever. There's always something to prove. I just don't know what that is that's going to be worth the effort.
Okay.
There's some days that I look at guys like Jeremy Wagler and I'm like, just sit around and make chips and throw them away. And, I mean, we make a lot of chips too, but it's all, it's not the cool stuff that Jeremy makes. I'm jealous. But at the end of the day, what is the return on that? And don't get me wrong, the guys that have done it, again, all the respect in the world for things that Derek has accomplished and Tony's accomplished and Firepunk and Baca and all these people that have really pushed things forward. And here I am just like picking up all their parts that they leave laying around and trying to make something out of it, because I like the tried and true and reliable side of it.
You made
sorry to be boring about it, but
I mean, it's just you're taking a setup. I think that I don't want to say that's the norm of a street truck, because it's still not, right. A 76 and a 102 or 105 millimeter charger, those are real serious turbochargers. But like you said, they're out of the box bore units. There's nothing crazy there. So you're going into this with a more simplistic approach. With that being said, what's a win for you? What are you expecting as an outcome for UCC 2021?
I went into this thing every time thinking I would be perfectly content with a top 10. And last year, 19, missed it by just a few points. Really my drag racing sucked. Fair showing on the dyno. Nowhere near, again, the top guys, but, it laid a number down. We drove it off and didn't have to work on it. And then dumb mistakes on sled pull day. And it was still 11th place or something like that. If it's top 10, I've accomplished what I'm shooting to do. If it's higher than that, even better. There's going to be the guys that are going for everything, and they're going to finish towards the top, and they deserve it, and they've earned it. I'd rather be a part of the event, have fun with the event, be able to enjoy it with everybody that's going down with me, and go around and interact with everybody. I mean, let's be honest, we've all been sitting here doing Zoom meetings for so long, we don't remember what people look like.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
When's the last time anybody's shaking somebody else's hand and didn't feel weird about it? That's just a weird thing.
Yeah.
I'm looking at just being out there again is a big part of it, and having fun with it.
I love that, man. I'm really excited for it. And Eric, we wish you the best of luck. We're really excited to see you go down and compete. I think I'm right for your third time. I know I'm calling it early. I'm calling Eric Merchant in the top 6. So I hope you guys are doing even better than you're expecting.
Top 6 would honestly be really good. Again, don't have expectations. I think it's just that consistency, and consistency is definitely a big part of it. If you have to finish respectable in all 3 events to finish respectable at the end of the show. You can't dominate any one thing. And I know there's some guys. I've listened to your show. I mean, some of the other guys you've been talking to, like you said, the privateers, man, those guys are swinging for the moon.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, like, do I go over there and feed them or help support them in some way? Because
I want to root for you. Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
But I think like, with UCC, Paul and I've said this a couple times. This isn't 17, 18, 19 anymore. This is, the guys that have been at the top of the game, they're out of it, or they're passing for a year, and it's giving an opportunity for fresh blood to come in and make a name for themselves and be in that top spot or be in the top 3.
Yeah.
So it's a shifting of the tides, so to speak. The industry is evolving.
Well, and I think what we're going to see is as we're talking about guys swinging for the fences, it comes back to that tried and true question of like, you swing for the fences, that's great, but just understand there's going to be a lot of strikeouts along the way to that home run, right? So like, who is it that can keep getting lucky through all 3 events, all 3 days, and swing for the fences on all 3 and still be around at the end? If your odds get worse every event, right?
If that's the case, I'm going with them to the casino afterwards. Let me tell you.
well, and that's why I like this strategy of consistency. I like this strategy of like, you're kind of playing the odds of like, man, I know this stuff is going to work. I know I can accomplish my goal. I know I can keep it together. And the one thing that very few people at UCC get to say is, I know I can load my truck on the trailer and take it home and use it tomorrow.
Yeah, go to a sled pull the following weekend.
That's not a common thread throughout UCC. So again, Eric, thank you so much for taking out the time to talk to us today. Is there anybody you wanted to give a shout out to?
This is one of them things that if I would have been smart, I wrote all this down. Just everybody. I mean, everybody that's going, everybody that's going to be at the event, everybody that's coming down with us and the team. And I don't even going to get into the names because I can't remember my own half the time. So I think anybody that wants to go and hang out and be a part of it and listens to your show or just supports the industry in general. I guess the only people that I don't want to give a shout out to are people that think balance rates mean something on their edge monitor.
Thank you.
And people that want to know how much to delete their L5P. Those people can just
fall off the face of the earth nicely.
I mean, I don't know how you church that up a little bit, but
yeah. I mean, you just basically cited part of my day-to-day work. I didn't name names. Yeah.
Just groups of people.
Eric Merchant, thank you so much for joining us. Guys, make sure you go ahead. Go ahead, please.
I haven't got a response back from Chris Searle, but I emailed him looking for handicap parking passes, so I didn't have to watch it. Throwing that out there.
Oh, God. Paul, I think we need to reach out to Chris and make sure he responds back to
That's
Eric.
right. We'll make sure.
Yeah.
We'll make sure we do that.
Oh
my
God.
goodness, guys! Make sure you go by the Merchant Automotive tent and talk to Eric when you are at UCC. I'm sure he will enjoy all of your accompaniment.
Balance rate questions
directly. In person,
yeah, we're just gonna do. We're gonna have a demo on how to read an edge monitor. Scroll right on past the balance rate screen. That got me more worked up than anything we've talked about. Sorry, sometimes things just come out like that.
Oh my goodness. I'm sure nobody listening wants to right now, but go ahead and stick around because we actually do have some educational content following
balance rates.
Following our balance rate topic today.
Going to discuss balance rates and apparently a couple of new hosts that
All right, guys, coming at you is our super tech Jeremy Garnett, and then we are going to be doing some diesel diagnostics here at the end of the show. Jeremy Garnett, how the hell are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Jeremy, right at the top of today's segment, I want you to plug your Instagram handle.
JGarnett00, and that's it.
JGarnett00. Guys, if you're not already following Jeremy, it is probably one of the best diesel mechanic Instagram pages you're going to find, because it is literally just our favorite tech posting about the shit that he works on every day. So if you've been listening to the show and you like this segment, you're like, oh, Jeremy gets to work on cool shit. I wish I got to work on cool shit like that. Jump on Instagram, go follow him there, and you're going to get to kind of see on a day-to-day basis of some of the stuff that you deal with.
And it is pretty cool. I mean, I actually was talking to Nick the other day about it. I was like, hey, you know what? It's really cool being able to come to work and get to do some of the things that I get to do.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people get to do it. There is guys out there. There's a lot of shops out there, but I'm grateful for it. I get to do some pretty cool stuff every once in a while.
And that's why we love having you on the show, Jeremy, because you're somebody who actually enjoys getting out there and getting dirty and wrenching on the trucks and going through the day-to-day where, hey, man, some of this stuff is a lot of fun. Some of the stuff is a grind.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff is things that we see on a lot of trucks and we deal with a lot of trucks. And my understanding is today we're going to kind of hit one of those more general topics that I think whether you're a shop or whether you're just a fan, you've probably talked about lift pumps. So I know we're going to dive into it. First, hit me. What's the truck?
Just an LML. So we put a lift pump on it and a sump in the tank.
Okay.
Just a easy every day. We kind of do a lot of them around here. Just wanted to touch base on this one a little bit.
Yeah, man. What happened?
So the guy wanted the bracket underneath the truck, and he didn't want it, on the, behind the rear wheel there,
Yeah.
Where you didn't want the filters hanging and everything. So we actually used a whirly bracket, and we put it underneath right in front of the tank. And on this one here, someone was already down there before, and they rubbed the fuel line. So we have to make sure that we don't rub the fuel line, and then we actually put some shielding around the new fast lines that we put on.
Okay.
So, yeah, and again, a lot of guys, when they do it and they put them on, they don't realize that where they mount the relay and the fuse, that pull the wire down underneath the truck and let the excess wire sit under the truck and not under the hood.
Why is that?
Because it looks cleaner and it won't rub through as bad. You can tie it up easier. So don't tie all that wire up and all that bulk wire up under there. And you can put it right on the firewall. There's a nice spot on any Cummins, Ford. Duramax, you can just mount it really nicely and make it look good.
Yeah. That's a slick one. That's one of those where, I know how much mechanics love to deal with the last guy's fuck up. And that's so often what we see is you'll get underneath there and a good mechanic will look at it and go, well, I know why you did this, but why did you do this?
Yeah. Well, I want to touch on this one too, is because people with the sump, okay, it's not so much putting the fast on the truck, it's the sump itself. So here we do them in pairs a lot. Actually, I'd say 99% of the time we do them in pairs. It's the location of the sump. We'd like to put the sump in back of the tank as far as we possibly can on the flattest spot. So, that's kind of, again, like I said before, that's how I want to touch base, because a lot of the guys, we'll put it at the front of the tank. Well, then at the front of the tank, then they'll get quarter tank issues. And then when they're driving, then the fuel sloshes to the back of the tank. Well, you lose the fuel.
It's so funny when you bring this up, because I guess I haven't dealt with this one specifically in some time, but I do just dread remembering so many guys calling and hey man, I put a fast on and now I'm getting quarter tank issues. So quarter tank issues where you have a quarter tank, but the truck acts like it's out of fuel.
Yeah. And
that's because the straw that drops down inside your tank, the pickup, fuel is sloshing around. It's this big, huge kind of rectangular shape.
Yep.
It's not like a perfect bubble where all the fuel is going to go to the bottom into the right spot, right? So it's a very, I don't know, dynamic topography, I guess, with stupid words we'll use. It is odd, right? And it doesn't really totally make sense. The trucks really are not designed to be run down to a quarter tank. No. But we do it. We've all been there. Sometimes you got to stretch the miles. I get it. So when you put the sump in on the front and then you drive, it's fluid. it sloshes, like you said, to the back of the tank, and then guys end up with that same issue.
Yeah, and they get that suck air, and also people don't realize diesel fuel irritates. Well, I guess I don't know what that right word is. It does bubble.
It aerates,
It aerates, and it does bubble. So, when the lower the fuel, it does slosh. You are going to get a little bit more of that.
That's right, and that's what your FAS is for. Is it's actually fuel air separator system.
But you got to get the fuel to it.
But you got to get the fuel to it for it to work.
Yeah.
No, that's a good one, man. That's one that I think so many times guys just very easy to overlook, especially if it's your first install and you're doing it at home on your own truck and you're in your garage and you're like, this looks good. Well, sure, it looks good the first time you do it.
And there's no instructions. You buy a FAS. Okay, well, they're going to give you instructions to install a FAS.
Right.
Well, you buy a sump, they're going to give you instructions. So there's no instruction to install both together.
I like that. Yeah.
So that's kind of, like I said, I want to step on that, because we see it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It comes up. Well, that's a great pro tip for today. I really, really love it. Is there anything else you want to say on this?
Yeah. When you do install the sump, clean the inside. You do have to drill a 3-inch hole. So there's debris.
Yep.
Make sure you do clean the debris out of the tank, because sometimes it will get stuck in the sump and then fuel won't be able to get to your FAS. That actually happened a couple months ago. A customer came in. Hey, I installed this. I have really low fuel rail pressure from my sump or from my FAS. Well, we pulled his sump out and there was pieces of tank in his sump because he didn't clean out the inside of the tank.
Right.
And even when we install them here, I grab a razor blade, clean up the edges a little bit, and then stick my hand in there as much as possible, even a mirror, and see if there's any
That's
debris.
right, man. Got to get it out.
And it happens. I've read about it on forums too. Clean out the inside of the tank from debris before you add your fuel back.
That's right. And then stop and clean it out again.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be your best bet. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today,
No
Jeremy.
problem. Have a good day.
Guys, make sure you stick around. Coming up next, we're going to do some diesel diagnostics with one of our favorite reps. All right, guys, I'm here with another one of our super customer service stars, Mike Evans. Mike, how the hell are you?
Doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for joining us on the show today. We have a fun one to kind of talk about where a lot of times on this segment, we just talk about like troubleshooting a specific scenario, but you ran into one of these scenarios where I think we need to back up a little bit and start at the very beginning. If you are going to call in for help with troubleshooting, there's a few things that somebody in Mike's situation might need to know first. Mike, what are some of the most basic pieces of information that you need before you can actually help somebody solve a problem?
The easiest one is just, what's the year, make, model of the truck. We got to start there. I got to know what I'm thinking about, what we're working on.
No, whoa. I'm pretty sure your troubleshooting for my turbo is the same on my 98 Cummins as it is on my 2021 Cummins.
Definitely not. Very different animals. Yeah, definitely matters.
Yeah, no. I think the VIN's another good one, right? Because the VIN is one of those where guys, I know I've dealt with this for years, where guys are like, you tuned my truck 8 years ago, and now I'm having this hiccup, and you're like, cool, I'd love to check it out. Can I get a VIN number so I could find your tune?
Sure.
That's a great place to start if we're calling about a tuner. If you got a transmission issue, I probably don't need your VIN.
Probably
right?
not. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you gotta know the make, model, year of the truck. That makes really obvious sense. VIN number is a really good one to have. From there, now, okay, Mike, I've told you I have whatever year truck. Here's the make. Here's the model. What's the next thing you're going to ask me?
Depending on if it's, you're trying to do something or we're trying to diagnose the truck is, what's the issue, what's going on with it, or what are we trying to accomplish? Are you're trying to upload your tunes onto the vehicle? You're trying to install something? What exactly are we trying to do? What's going on? What's preventing you from doing that?
Okay, so if I call in with a problem, I need to be able to articulate my problem.
Right.
I need to be able to tell you what the problem is.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever called in and said, I don't know what my problem is. I just called you because I need help.
I have gotten one of those calls today. Believe it or not.
Guys, I don't... I have been frustrated. I have called customer service and tech support for things before and had a really hard time explaining my problem because I couldn't use like their language or their jargon to like communicate. But to call in and not know the problem that I need help with, but know that I need help, I just wonder what that guy's like ordering fast food.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Goes to Burger King, is like, I have to have my Big Mac.
I'm hungry.
I'm hungry, right. I'm hungry.
Me too.
Okay. Sure. Or in classic dad fashion, it'd be, hi, hungry, I'm dad.
Yeah.
All right. So you got to know the make, model, and year of the truck. You got to know what the problem is that somebody needs assistance with. A VIN number is a really good idea.
Definitely.
Are there any pieces of information that people just always have to tell you that just don't matter at all?
What they were doing, before they got in the truck and the issue happened. I was going to my aunt's house, driving down the road, and then all of a sudden I got a check engine light. Or there's a lot of those. People will go very into depth on stuff that has nothing even to do with the truck.
Was 37 degrees and a cloudy night.
Yeah,
they're setting the scene for you, man. They want you to get into the story with them, right?
Of course.
My favorite one is the trim level of your truck.
Oh yeah, people love to tell you the trim level of their truck.
You know who never tells me the trim level? Work trucks and cabin chassis.
Yep.
Never will tell you it's a work truck. Never will tell you it's a cabin chassis.
And that's the most important.
But guarantee the guy with a platinum is like, well, it is a platinum.
Yep. Because
Like,
that matters in your tuning.
I don't do anything different.
We care about those fancy leather seats.
For what your leather seats are, exactly.
Yeah.
like, listen, do I prefer a platinum over a work truck driving? Of course.
Sure.
You're definitely a baller. I get it. But for troubleshooting your tune, only the cabin chassis is going to matter.
Yeah, and that's a big one. The cabin chassis is a big one. There's a lot of people that will leave that out.
Yeah, and that's funny too because again with tuning, that's like, well, your operating system is totally different.
Completely
For turbos,
different.
You generally even have a different frame turbo in most cabin chassis models. So like even that is very different.
Yes.
Even though they seem to be the same engine, they're probably not.
Yeah, there's even if the difference is minuscule, it's enough to change enough to whether or not you'll get a code for this or something just doesn't correspond correctly. So
Absolutely,
definitely a very good thing to mention if it's a work truck or a cabin chassis. Limited model, not so important.
Are there any other pieces of information that you have to gather on every customer service call?
If you're calling for tuning support from us, if you have your order number, that's great. At least the name the tunes would be under, so we can get everything looked up. Make sure you're calling the right place. We get a lot of phone calls of people who are tuned by other people that are, looking for tune revisions, and they didn't even purchase the tuning from us in the first place. So, save themselves a lot of time, and make sure you're calling the right place. And, have your order information ready, and just be ready to go.
I love it, man. I think that's some good advice right there. Mike, thank you so much for joining our listeners on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Guys, make sure you stick around. Chris, Emke, and myself will be wrapping up today's episode and giving you a little sneak preview of what's coming next.
Increase the longevity and performance of the transmission in your 6.0 and 6.4 liter Power Stroke with the XDP 5R110 modified direct clutch solenoid. Your 5R110 transmission uses solenoids to apply fluid to the appropriate clutch. In stock horsepower levels, the factory solenoid does the job. Once you upgrade your truck with any modifications, you can quickly push that solenoid past its limits. XDP's 5R110 direct clutch solenoid moves more fluid at a faster rate to keep up with your modified pickup. This extends the life of your transmission and provides you with better shifting characteristics. Each solenoid is built from brand new parts and is tested in-house on XDP's Sol X 2000 solenoid tester. To find out more about the XDP 5R110 direct clutch solenoid, check out xdp.com or contact a local dealer near you.
Chris, people have been hearing us talk about Exergy performance since the start of the show.
Right, of course. They've been a believer since the inception, to say the least.
I know I just recently talked to Randy Harkema over there. Guys, of course, you recognize him from our snake oil or not fuel additive episode. He's one of the guys at Exergy that we rely on for technical expertise. And I thought it was really cool. I was just talking to him about going to UCC.
Okay.
You remember the booth that they bring to UCC every year?
Yeah, I remember 2019. They do this really cool engine stand with a Cummins with their standalone with a throttle, a hand throttle, and you can, be part of the engine operating. They start it, you can rev it and all that cool stuff. And I think it's really cool because it gives you that hands-on experience to say, hey, here's Exergy's fuel system, here's Exergy standalone, Bosch standalone, here's everything working.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you can't forget it once you've seen it.
I didn't push too hard to ask all the details because I like to walk around UCC and kind of be surprised by what I'm going to see. But I will just say that if you're going to UCC this year, make sure you go swing by the Exergy Performance booth. You're definitely going to want to check out what they have.
Oh, man. That's exciting.
Chris, you know WC Fab and WC Fab powder coating. It's going to be one of those places that if you've never heard of them and you go check out their booth at UCC, or if you go to their shop and kind of hang out and see even just the foyer, like what the waiting room, you're going to be wildly impressed.
It's tough because you don't know if someone were to tell me, hey, they do all these crazy powder coat colors, they do compound turbo kits, triple turbo kits, intercooler piping kits, whatever. I am a very simplistic individual, so I have a basic thought process or picturing in my head of what's going on. And if you see their work in person, they're very meticulous with, their fabrication. The welding is superb. But their coloring options that they have from their in-house powder coating service is second to none. There's like 400 colors that they keep in stock.
Yeah.
All of their signature colors are, they're the most popular for a reason. They stick out the most. And I mean, Paul, man, over the years being at Calibrated Power, we have seen so many WC Fab trucks come and go, being on the dyno, things like that. And, I remember when I first started, it was exciting to see a 700, 800, or 1,000 wheel horse truck. And you just know if a truck's coming from WC Fab here, it's going to make big power. I normally just get excited for what kind of color schemes under the hood of the truck. But, you're going to get what you pay for. They offer a really good quality product, and they have a really good support staff. They're going to stand behind what they do. And I think that goes a long way, especially this day and age in this industry.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, you've heard from Eric Merchant, LB7 showing up to UCC. What do you think, Chris?
I mean, that's like the 12 valve in the Duramax world, man. I'm just kidding. You know what? Eric had a really good showing in 19. I'm excited. If you want to talk about someone who's seasoned, Eric is seasoned. Okay, he's been around this a long time. He is a driver. He knows how to sled pull. He's raced. He knows how to run a truck on the dyno. If you're asking about someone who has the experience and could be a true contender, I think Eric's kind of one of those guys that have to be on the radar.
I tend to agree, man. I think we'll for sure. I'll make a bold statement here. I think we'll see him in the top 6.
Nah, he ain't that good. I'm just kidding. I definitely agree. I would, in my predictions that I have going on, I mean, I think he has everything in his arsenal to be able to make that possible.
I love it. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening. This has been Paul Wilson.
And Chris Emke.
Sorry, Justin. Lots of notes today.
Fucking Paul.
Dude, that was ruthless. You're a horrible person.
I know.